I want to say something to you because something that was in this comedy sketch really alerted me. It was a sketch that Culture Clash was doing, and it was about Che Guevara coming back in the modern age. And it was interesting, but it was also sad because at the end of the sketch, he dies. He dies fomenting a rebellion that doesn't come to fruition. He grows angry, he goes down to a Taco Bell or something, and he shoots it up, and the police come in full force, and they come at him and they destroy him. And what I thought was very interesting about this sketch is that it shows us how revolutionary tactics have to be upgraded. That as much as we remember and appreciate the heroes that are our elders, that are our ancestors that came before us, we cannot put them so high on a pedestal so as not to learn from their errors, from their mistakes, from the problems that occurred in their time that they were not capable of dealing with, because people will look back on our struggle now and say, remember the sound strike, remember when Arizona fell to the fascists, what could have been done better, what could have been more concise, who could we have included in our struggle to strengthen our ranks, who could we have shown to show people, and go to the Jewish community and say, remember when they burned your books, now they're burning ours. We could have gone to the Islamic community and said, do you know the way that you're demonized in all of television programming? Look at the way our people are demonized constantly every day. Make no mistake about it, it's not that they don't want us here. Get that thought out of your mind. They want us here. They want us here to take care of their children. They want us here to wash their clothes. They want us here to pick their food. They want us here to clean their houses. They want us here to take care of their families and to raise the next generation of their children. What they don't want us to do is to stay on the land that ancestrally has belonged to us before there was such thing as a Muslim, a Christian, a Jewish person, and I dare say a Hindu. Because we have been on this side of the world for millennia. I think what is incredibly important for us to acknowledge about our struggle is that we can not only include race in it, but also class. If we had more affluent people from our community that didn't identify with the economic policies of the oppressor as the only functional mechanism to get out of debt, to get out of the oppressive nature of a capitalist system, then we would not be in this situation. The other problem is that we keep reading the same book from 100 years ago written by dead Russian people, thinking that's the only way to get our solution to a problem. And it is not the only way. And I'm not saying this to denigrate anybody's ideology. No, I'm just telling you that we were colonized by several different means. We were colonized by an economic system, where we were politically de-evolved and economically de-evolved. We were colonized by ruining the relationship with our women. Our women used to be our equals. Now we look at them as lesser in all societies, sexually objectified, taken down to such a level that men think to themselves, man, I want to have a son, I don't want to have a daughter. To the point where we say to ourselves, out of all of our cultural values, they've been removed. Our past religion. I remember when I go speak about Middle Eastern affairs, I say to you, and to the Muslim student unions, I say, you know what, imagine if Iraq was really invaded the way our lands were invaded. Imagine if someone took your country over and convinced you that the Quran was a fairy tale, that the Prophet Muhammad, peace be unto him, didn't really exist, but he was a fantasy, a mythology. What if someone came to America, conquered America, and all these good-hearted, ignorant Christian people that believe in something so great and have such a powerful faith, what if someone convinced them and took advantage of their ignorance and beat them down to the point that they convinced them that Jesus was just a story, that he wasn't real at all, and that he never was real and that nothing happened? That's exactly what happened to our people. Our gods, our tradition, everything that makes us what we are was stolen from us long ago. And rather than trying to recreate the past by trying to have another cacique voted into office or elevating an Aztec emperor out of the most affluent of our people, what we need to realize is that the structure of our society in the pre-Columbian era was such in a pyramid shape that all they had to do was remove the top and everything else fell apart. Because they believed that divine origin created rule, that God in heaven above, the Son of Sons, had decreed that one person should lead every single other. It was a form of imperialism. It was a form of fascism in itself, some ways. It was a form that we need to accept was taken advantage of. Because it was not the Spanish steel that conquered us, it was not the bullets, it was the diseases, it was the lies, it was the trickery, it was the turning clan against clan, tribe against tribe, nation against nation, brother against brother, sister against sister. That is what defeated our people. We aided in our own occupation and our own colonization, and that hurts to acknowledge, but it's true. In the same way, we have aided in the destruction of our family values, in the destruction of our household. We have forgotten what made us the proud people that we are. And now it is time to reclaim it, not by just looking at the past, but realizing the errors of the past and adopting them with the future. Everything must evolve. I tell this when I do gang summits. I tell the brothers, listen, if we don't evolve, if you don't evolve, you will suffer the same fate as everything else in the world that is not evolved. You will become extinct. Our people will become extinct. Your children's children will wake up and not know who they are or where they came from, and the only thing to identify themselves will be this mysterious brown skin and legends of the past that don't make sense to them anymore. If that is our destiny, then we should all find a grave to lie down in right now. But I don't feel that we have a defeatist attitude in this crowd. I feel that we have a positive attitude. I hear Aslan Underground talking about revolution and about turning the tables on them and realizing that we need to stand up as a people, as a united people. I hear acts that are both rock and roll, hip hop. I hear people that don't even do music that come to these events that speak their heart and really want to help and do everything that they possibly can. And that shows me that our community has not forsaken revolution. And by revolution, I mean a complete cycle, not just one insane push for power, because if we don't replace a system with something better, then our revolution has failed. If we overturn a government and put ourselves where the king sat, then what revolution have we really achieved? What have we really done for our people to create a better future? I know that the sound strike has been working for a long time to show people the monetary value, the cultural value that we have. Talking with Javier Gonzalez, with other people that have worked painstakingly, we've also decided that there are people within the state of Arizona that we will work with, that we will do shows with. There are people behind enemy lines that we need to keep into constant communication with, that we should keep in touch with on Facebook or Twitter or wherever the fuck else you decide to socially believe yourselves these days. You know, it's funny because the evolution of socialization is also something we need to discuss too. Socializing online is to socializing as reality TV is to reality. You need to reach out and physically be there to see it. You need to physically see the border at some point. That will be our pilgrimage to Mecca. That border that was created 100-odd years ago, a war fought under false premise, nations annexed, people told that they were no longer indigenous, that they were alien to a place that their ancestors had lived on for thousands of years. This is a great crime. This is a great lie. This is a great fairy tale told to our people. They tell us every single day that they're only enforcing the law. We just want to enforce the law, enforce the law. Slavery was once the law. A law being in place doesn't mean that it's just. It means that people have allowed it to exist because it's been financially beneficial. It's financially beneficial for them to keep our people as slave labor on a timely basis, to be there working in the fields during the harvest season and then get the fuck out when you want the same or inalienable rights as all American citizens, which we're due to. We fight in their wars. Our indigenous people go fight in Iraq and Afghanistan, and still they don't have citizenship. And so then the question becomes, what makes a true American? Is the fact that you fell out of the vagina somewhere in Kansas or in Wisconsin or in Colorado make you an American? Or is it the fact that you can actually speak about the good and negative aspects of what America has done as a nation? America is, after all, in my mind, not a great Satan. It's a middleman. It finds little Satans to do its work for them. It's the king that can't do anything. The king can only move one square in chess. Queen can move very many squares. The knight moves in an odd shape. The rook has its lineage. It needs other people to do its work for them. It's needed our people to do its work for them. It's needed a Trujillo. It's needed a Somoza. It's needed we were going to get to him, but I want to use somebody more specific now. It's needed present Mexican presidents. It needs present Colombian presidents. It needs people that are far right in their agenda to create the idea that displacing indigenous people is something normal and not reactionary. That destroying indigenous communities is perfectly acceptable because these people are quote-unquote savages, and that we have no true link to that culture. And then we begin to ask ourselves, what does it truly mean to be a so-called Latino, as we're all marked in the media? Well, Latino just means that you speak a Latin-based language. Under that premise, Romanians would be Latino. French people would be Latino. And confront the racism in your own fucking community, that means that Haitians would be Latino. Let's touch on that topic for a second. Without the Haitian Revolution, there is no Latin American Revolution. They were the first example for our people. And I love the legacy of Simón Bolívar. But no pun intended, call a spade a spade. He turned his back on François Toussaint. He made a deal for his land. We have to acknowledge the good and the bad that has come of this. We need to acknowledge that when we discuss a movement and we call it a reconquista, that's a very important word. La Reconquista comes from the 15th century when the Spaniards were retaking Spain in their holy war, in the crusade that is left out of history. And then afterwards they signed the Alhambra Decree. The Alhambra Decree, when you read it, exiles all Jews immediately from Spain, calls for the forcible conversion of all people that are Islamic or Jewish or of any other faith except the Catholic one. It indoctrinates people with the idea that it's okay to enslave people if they are infidel. That is the beginning of the modern interpretation of racism. Because when you look at the civilizations of antiquity, Rome and Greece didn't have the same cancer of racism that then their children's children would have. They respected talent when they saw it, and no further proof is necessary than to see that there were African emperors of Rome, African popes, that Barack Obama is not the first black man to ever hold a position of power. These are things you need to educate yourself with. So when they attack you, you have the weapons. Holding a gun and running into a Taco Bell is not the weapon you need now. It may be someday, if it comes down to that, but I pray it doesn't. Because I was told by a great man, Russell Means, that old women or old men and mothers know the folly of war. That young people think it's a glorious thing to die for your country, when in reality you leave a hole in the family, a gap in it. And while it may be very easy to romanticize dying for revolution, it's much harder. It takes more cojones to live the rest of your life for revolution, to dedicate yourself to an idea, to believe in your heart that what we dream here in this room is possible one day. And I know it will be, because I know no one here has a quitter spirit, and I know no one will fail. I'm not going to speak anymore. I'm going to get the fuck out of here and let you enjoy the party. I'm going to have people come back on here and go fucking crazy and ballistic, and I want you to enjoy yourselves tonight. I want you to feel the rhythm of the music. I want you to laugh at this motherfucker's funny ass jokes because it's hysterical. I want you to get all the old culture class shit. I want y'all to realize that the more we build as a community and the greater love that we have for our people in our struggle, both the good and the bad aspects of what we have, and we acknowledge that, the stronger we become. The more we deny our faults of the past, the weaker we become. The more we're unable to realize who the real enemy is. Because it's not just out there, it's also inside here. Inside every individual is the gentle complacency that we find in failure. that I've done enough for today. Fuck this. I don't need to do that. I love all of you. For those of you that are going to be in LA Rising, I'll see y'all tomorrow. My name is Immortal Technique. I'm out of here. Peace.